Hello, and welcome back to another draft player analysis video. Today, I will be going over Robert Nkemdiche. Nkemdiche, I don't know, Nkemdiche, that's how I'm going to say it. Defensive tackle, Ole Miss. So, Robert Nkemdiche, defensive tackle, Ole Miss, 6'3", 294 pounds. Was a 3-year starter at 3-year starter at Ole Miss. Was a number one style recruit, top fucking recruit in the country, I'm pretty sure. Or one of the top defensive lineman recruits in the country. So, some stats, which I guess the stats really don't justify, how highly he was sought after. 81 tackles, 16 of them for a loss, 6 sacks, no forced fumbles in 3 years. With those pedestrian-style stats, his accolades are actually much better than you would expect. He was a freshman All-American in 2013 and a 2-time second-team All-American in 2015 and 14. The one day I don't turn my phone off, it ruins 4 videos I do. It's amazing. So, before we get into Robert Nkemdiche, he's maybe the most talented defensive tackle in this class. I say maybe, as kind of... I say maybe because he definitely has the talent, he doesn't have the production, and he has the off-field issues. So I have Sheldon Rankins ranked above him, but I think his talent and his athletic ability that he has potentially puts him above A'Shawn Robinson in my book.
After the incompletion, 3rd and 4 coming up.
So, let's just get right into the pros and cons. So, my first pro, he's athletic. Coming out, coming into the draft, or coming into college football, he was super athletic. He was considered, maybe the most athletic defensive tackle in a while, especially coming out of high school. Again, the number 1 recruited D tackle. So, again, he has, the athleticism to play. He has the athleticism to play a very consistent role on the D tackle position. Next, his power. He may be considered a little bit undersized for D tackle, 6'3". I'd say the average is 6'4", 6'5". But again, that's me not knowing anything. So, my God, Rodgers sucks dick today. I might not even get through the fucking full 4 quarters in this video. So, God, I lost my train of thought. Okay, his power. In my mind, I believe he's probably a little undersized, but he has very good power, and
that penalty is, of course, going to be accepted.
Oh my goodness, I felt like I was about to throw up. Damn, give me just 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. God, that felt terrible. So, his power. I think he has very good power. He uses it very well. He has a very good bull rush. But other than that, he just has very good power. I don't know how else to really put it. And next, his leverage. Again, I don't have a ton of cons for this guy, as I think that he was very, subpar at Ole Miss, but he has that talent. But his leverage, he uses it very well. He gets under his blockers so he can rip them off of him. And, he just uses it very well. He gets under guys. He knows how to rip a blocker. He knows how to properly use his leverage. And again, I think him being 6'3", again, benefits him a little bit more than you would think, as although he doesn't get a lot more, he doesn't get that extra power from his base coming up because he doesn't have that extra length. He's a little more compact, so he'll have that power from that, being more, compact. He has more bulk and push in my mind.
First down at the 20. Aaron Rodgers.
Dude, what is Rodgers doing? Like, my God. So, that's actually it for my pros. So, my cons, his production. That's the biggest one. I mean, again, the guy has all the natural talent, at D-tackle. He's very good. I wouldn't compare him to Aaron Donald or Nkemdiche, but he is in a top tier of, those athletic defensive tackles who can have really good success, but he doesn't have the production to back it up. When comparing him to the last, 3 highest drafted tackles that have had, really good NFL success, Nkemdiche, Aaron Donald, and Fletcher Cox, I believe it was. But comparing him to those 3, his collegiate stats are extremely subpar. Nkemdiche had something like almost 40 more tackles than him, had about 5 to 10 more sacks, and, he actually had forced fumbles. Same thing with Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald had an amazing collegiate career. Had a lot of tackles, sacks, everything. So, it's just the fact of the matter that his production doesn't back it up, his talent that he has. Next, he's not the greatest pass rusher in the world. That's something he could stand to improve on. As, again, I consider him a more well-rounded D-tackle, but I think that he has to work on his, his pass defense and pass rushing to become a more complete D-tackle. I think he's very good in the run game. He just has to continue to work on playing the pass better. Man. Next, the big one, why a lot of teams are shying away from the guy, his off-the-field issues. I think he failed a drug test. He got pushed out of a window in Atlanta or something, I heard. My God, dude, I am victimizing Aaron Rodgers. I am loving this. I hate that man. So I just absolutely am taking in every single moment right here. So, again, off the field issues. Some teams aren't going to just want to deal with it. So I think that will drive a lot of teams away. But I think his talent can definitely, make teams reconsider just taking a complete pass on him, which has happened in the past. You've had guys who have been troubled off the field, even on the field. Nkemdiche, arguably the best defensive tackle in the game right now, has a lot of on-the-field issues while he was in Detroit. So it's just, now that he's in Miami, I think he's cleaned up his act a little. I didn't hear anything big about him, doing something dumb like stomping out a dude. So, again, I think teams will definitely take him over his talent, but he does have those off-the-field issues. Those are things that won't go away. And lastly, a bit of a tiny one, but his conditioning. Like Sheldon Rankins, I don't think he is a every down, defender at D-tackle. I think you're going to have to rotate him in. And that's why I think year 1, he's probably going to be a rotational guy on the D-line as he gets used to the speed of the NFL game and also, learns how to play the game in general at the NFL level. But that being said, I actually have more cons than pros for once, I think. But those things being said, I actually think that he is a very good prospect. His off-the-field issues have to be, considered when evaluating him. I can't talk today. Or ever, for that matter. I will specify today when I'm recording. I can't ever talk. So, that being said, I have him rated as a mid to late first-round prospect. I don't think he can definitely be taken in the top 14, which I consider like the top half of the draft. After 14, I consider that about the middle part of the draft. And from 15 to about 25, 24 is mid. So mid to late, I think, is a good bet. He has the talent. It's just the fact of the matter that he really has to learn how to. He has to learn how to be consistent, keep himself clean off the field, and also has to become better conditioned. So, my teams of interest start with the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans needs a guy on the interior who can be, good in the run game and can be a guy who can improve throughout the years and eventually be a consistent, solid starter. And as long as Nkemdiche stays clean off the field and gets better conditioning, I think he can be a guy like that. But, again, I think that his off-the-field issues could potentially drive New Orleans away. Next, the Detroit Lions. I don't think they're a team that would really mind his off-the-field problems as, again, they kept Ndamukong and Suh around. They seemed like they didn't really mind his issues that he did on the field when he would do his thing. So I think they're a team that really doesn't mind having a guy who's a bit troubled. And with Nkemdiche, they can try and reform this guy back into the, the number one recruit in the country. So they also have to find a guy to eventually replace Haloti Ngata on the interior, running a 4-3. They can rotate him in with Haloti Ngata and whoever their other two D tackles are. I know they have 4 on the roster if they draft him. So I think he can definitely be a good rotational talent and can definitely, find a way to fit in Detroit. Next, I have the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo will definitely not care about his off-the-field stuff. Again, Rex Ryan doesn't care. He just wants the most talented guys. If he can reform them, which he kind of did with Richie Incognito. Richie Incognito wasn't in the NFL for a year, came back and played at an all-pro level at guard, played incredibly. So I think that Rex Ryan is definitely willing to give these troubled guys an opportunity. So, and they also need someone on the interior with Marcel Darius. 2 athletic D tackles who can be. Marcel Darius is a very well-rounded D tackle. Both of them can be monsters in the run, and once he develops, he can be a monster in the pass game also. Next, New York Jets. After losing Snacks in the offseason this year, their D tackle, they can definitely stand to bring in a nice young talent. But again, it's all about if they really want to deal with his off-the-field problems. So they do need to replace their D tackle, but it's the fact of the matter that do they want to replace him with a guy who's troubled, I guess you can say. Next, I have the Washington Redskins. Again, I think Washington could be deterred away by his off-the-field problems. As in my mind, from what I know, they don't really have many guys like that on the roster. Big off-the-field issue type guys. So, I think that overall, though, if Washington does draft an interior lineman and he's available, they'd be stupid not to select him, as, he gives them their best bet of finding a young, athletic guy who can be a solid, consistent starter. Should have been pass interference, but I'll let it slide because I'm up by 3 possessions. Next, Seattle Seahawks. Again, another team that I don't think is really going to mind off-the-field issues when it comes to guys who are hyper-athletic and hyper-talented. As, he's a guy who can definitely step in and be a starter day one. They need to find a guy on the interior, I think, that can be a starter for years. And Nkemdiche can be that guy as long as he stays clean off the field. So, next team I have is the Kansas City Chiefs. Him and Dontari Poe, 2 athletic D tackles, can cause hell for interior offensive linemen. And again, as long as Andy Reid can keep this kid's head on straight, which Andy Reid could. I think Andy Reid is one of the most, talented, smart guys at the coaching position. He's a smart guy. You know, he's had good success everywhere he's went. So it's just the idea that he has to keep this kid clean and keep his head on straight. Ooh, I threw it right to him. That was dumb. And the last team I have is the Denver Broncos. Again, interior lineman. I think they'll just take the most talented guy available if he falls to them. And eventually can definitely be a starter on the interior. You know, if they really want to, they can try and convert him to defensive end. I doubt it. But again, if they really fall in love with this guy and he's available, I wouldn't see any reason why that John Fox and company can't, or not John Fox, Gary Kubiak and Wade Phillips and John Elway can't keep this kid's head on straight. So, those things being said, I believe that with the 16th overall pick in the 2016 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions will select Robert Nkemdiche. I think they need to find a guy to replace Haloti Ngata, as I believe he will be turning 33 this coming season. So they need to find a guy to be an eventual replacement. They have a young D tackle on their roster right now who can be a solid guy. But again, they run a 4-3. They have to have two. He can be one of them. Those two can be solid interior guys. Ziggy Ansah on the end is an amazing athlete and an amazing defensive end. He's coming into his own now, and he's slowly becoming one of the better defensive ends in the game. And I think that they can wait later to find a pass rusher opposite him. So, overall, I think Nkemdiche is probably their best bet, as they can find a young, athletic guy along with Ansah and Ngata, who is a mauler, who can definitely be a rotational talent early on and eventually come into his own as a solid starter. So, that being said, coming up next will probably be as I accidentally had it under my mock draft. So, coming up next should be A'Shawn Robinson and then Andrew Billings right after that. I have 13 days till the draft. That's enough time to get in all of my linebackers, all of my defensive backs. That's 10, and then 2 more D linemen. Yeah, all right, I should have enough time to get every single position I need to get in. So, coming up next will be A'Shawn Robinson, then Andrew Billings. I'm skipping over Jerry and Reed, not because I don't think he's the most talented, between the Robinson and Billings. I'm just doing Billings out of bias because personally he could be a target for the Steelers, second, third round if he's available. So, that being said, this is J-Wax signing off.